You got the best mommy in the world. Y'all do that now.
She
Ain't
is
that
the
right?
only child, so she's spoiled rotten. Alright, so y'all, we are ready to get started. Hopefully y'all got rejuvenated because I did not, so I am ready to come back to school to rest.
Not me, ain't it?
Oh, I was busier all right than I was when I'm here, so I am ready to come back. And my husband's ready for me to come back because I work him to death when I'm home. Alright, today is the 18th. We have a scheduled assessment 2 weeks from Wednesday. So April 3rd is when we're having our next assessment, and 75% is going to be our mark. So if you're not near 75%, we need to hopefully try to get it in gear if we didn't get it in gear last week. April Fool's Day, April 1st, is the first day to register for summer and or fall.
I gotta write that down.
Yep, April Fool's Day. So, you can register for summer classes, you can register for fall classes, or you can register for both. And I'm actually going to, have a couple that are in traffic. I actually am gonna do, probably, I don't know if I'm gonna do Wednesday or one day next week. I'm gonna talk to you about registering for classes, what you need to know, what you need to look for, because a lot of people don't know how to register for classes. So either Wednesday of this week or one day next week, I'm going to talk about how to register for classes. So that's kind of what's coming up. We're halfway done now. We have 8 weeks left.
Good.
So 8 weeks left. We've done 8 weeks, and we have 8 weeks to go. So we're at our halfway mark. If you are taking a second 8 weeks class, those classes begin today. So second 8 weeks classes start today. I have 15 pages left of Module 3. I had 1 or 2 pages left of what we were doing on the geometry stuff, and then we're going into the measurement stuff. So this one was an easy one, but I didn't go over it, so I want to make sure you understand it. We did talk about the volume formula, which is length times width times height. When Alex does this problem, it wants you to count the boxes. Okay? So it wants you to think about this as an apartment complex. So if you're in this apartment, I can see 3 different sides of that apartment. So that's one apartment. This is 2 apartments, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So on the top floor, there are 8 apartments, which means on the bottom floor, there should be 8 apartments, even though you can't see them all. So that gives you a total of 16 apartments. Now, not everybody can see that. So what I tell people to do is length times width times height. So how long is the apartment complex? How many blocks long is it? 2. How wide is the apartment complex? 4. And how tall is the apartment complex? So if you do 2 times 4 times 2, 2 times 4 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. Length times width times height. You don't have to count the boxes. Okay? So if I go to the next one, and I do length times width times height, how long is it? 3 long. How wide is it? 2 wide. And how tall is it? 4. So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24. That's going to be the volume. So if you count the boxes, that's how many boxes you should count. That's just 2 different ways of doing the same thing. We good? All right. Now, let's see what I have down here. Okay, let's do this one first. Remember, and I think we did one last time like this, if I gave you a picture that looked like, and I gave you like a 6 and a 3 and an 8 and a 4 and a 10 and an X. Do we remember doing that one? We did that one before. And I said, give me a number off the first shape, and who does it match with on the second shape? So give me a number off the first shape. Any number off the first shape.
3, 6.
First shape. 6. And who does it match with on the second shape? 3. 6 matches with 3. Now, give me another number off the first shape.
8.
Now, if we use 8, who does it match with? 4. Well, the problem is going to say, find x. Do we have an x in this problem? No. So instead of doing 8 and 4, what should we have done? 10 over x. Remember doing those? And then we cross multiplied, so what would my problem be? If I cross multiply that problem, what would it be? 10 times 3, which is 30, divided by 6. So 30 divided by 6 is going to give me an answer of 5. Okay? These are the same kind of problems, they're just in word problems. It says Tom wants to measure the height of a tree. And a lot of people say, when are we ever going to use this crap? This type of problem is used all the time. It says Tom wants to know how tall the tree is, but he doesn't want to climb the tree. Using a mirror that's lying on the floor, the mirror is 35 feet from the tree. So he has this mirror right here, and it's 35 feet from the tree. Tom is standing 8.6 feet from that same mirror, and Tom is 6 feet tall. He wants to know how tall is the tree. We have 2 triangles, so we're going to do the same thing. Pick a number off the first shape or pick a pattern. So give me a pattern, give me a number. 6 matches with what are we trying to find? How tall is the tree? That's what we're trying to find. So 6 over x. Y'all did 6 over x.
So that makes it 8.6 over 35.
So 8.6 over 35. You did the first shape over the second shape. Now, that may not be the only pattern. Somebody may have told me 6 over 8.6. What would the other one be? Do Simon Says.
X over 35.
What if I would have said 35 over x? What's my Simon Says other pattern?
8.6 over 6.
All of those will give you the same answer. So for this one, I did 6 over 8.6. So I have to do 8.6 over 35. So whatever my pattern is, I do it the same. Here, I did 6 over 8.6. So I did height over shadow, height over shadow. For this one, I did shadow over height, so I've got to do shadow over height. So as long as you're consistent, now watch when I multiply. 6 times 35 divided by the decimal. 6 times 35 divided by the decimal. 6 times 35 divided by the decimal. So no matter how you set it up, it's going to give you that same answer. 6 times 35 divided by 8.6. Six times 35 divided by 8.6. Now, it says round to the nearest foot. What do I mean by rounding to the nearest foot? What would this be to the nearest foot? Who? 24. Nearest foot means nearest whole number. So my tree is going to be 24 foot tall. Okay? Now, they were nice here and they gave us a cute little picture. The next problem, they're not going to give us a cute picture. We're going to have to draw the picture ourselves. So it says we have a pole that's casting a shadow. So we have like a little flagpole that's casting a shadow on the ground. The pole is 2.5 meters tall and the shadow is 1.19 meters long. At the same time, we have a building. And it is casting a shadow. The shadow is 39.5. How tall is the building? And if you wanted to, you can draw it into little triangles. So give me two fractions, however you want to give them to me.
1.19.
Who? I heard 1.19 over
39.5.
39.5.
Then X over 2.5.
If you do 119 over 39.5,
So that'll be 2.5 over 8.
it's got to be 2.5 over x. What if I did 2.5 over 1.19?
It'd be X over 39.5.
It'd be x over 39.5. If I did 2.5 over 119, it has to be x over 39.5. So I don't care what the pattern is, you just have to Simon Says the pattern. And both of those are going to give me the same answer, just to show you. 2.5 times 39.5 divided by 1.19. They're going to give me the same setup. So when I go to my calculator, it is going to be 39.5 times 2.5 divided by 1.19. Now, the directions again say round to the nearest meter. The nearest meter is the nearest whole number. So how tall is the building? 83. So for that one, you had to draw the picture and solve it. Now, this next one, they tried to confuse you. They gave you the picture, but one of the triangles is upside down. So in your mind, you have to take this triangle. So this is the triangle they gave you. I'm better when they're side by side so that I can see them side by side. So in your mind, you've really got to do this to make them side by side. So when I come up with my proportion, as long as it's as Simon Says, I don't care what the proportion is. Lucky, give me a proportion. Give me a number, give me a something. We're looking at this triangle, and we're looking at this triangle. Okay, 62. 62 over 31, so you went 62 over 31. That means we got to do that same pattern for the other fraction. Perfect. Perfect. That's all I want. So if you do 62 over 31, we've got to do x over 20.2. And then we're going to cross multiply. So 20.2 times 62 divided by 31. It says round to the nearest meter. The nearest meter is going to be the nearest whole number. So my answer is going to be 40. Good? Now, this next one's a little bit harder because they put the triangles inside of each other. So, let me show you. We have a big triangle, and then we have this triangle. So what I'm going to do, let me clone, and let me clone. Okay, so I'm going to take these two triangles, and I'm going to separate them for you. I just took the big triangle and moved it off to the side, and I took the little triangle and moved it off to the side. He has a 10-foot pole. So my pole is 10 foot. The total length of the building shadow is 183. So this one is going to be 183. The pole casts a shadow of 4.75. How tall is the building? So they put them on top of each other, but when you separate it into two triangles, it's not that bad. Colonel, give me a fraction.
Let's go with, 4.75. Is that 18 or 183?
183?
183.
Okay, so once you set up your first fraction, you have set up your pattern. So repeat that pattern.
10 over x.
Perfect. Use the same pattern that Lucky did. He did 4.75 over 183, 10 over x. And that's not the only pattern that you can use, but it's a pattern that will always work. If I would have done 10 over 4.75, what would my other one have been?
X over 183.
X over 183. I did 10 over 4.75, x over 183. And just to show you, they're going to give me the same exact answer. But doing that one is better by separating them into two different triangles. So when I go to my calculator, I'm going to do 183 times 10 divided by 4.75, and it says round this time to the nearest tenth. Round to the nearest, oh no, it says nearest foot. Round to the nearest foot. What is this to the nearest foot? What's that to the nearest foot? 385, because the 2 tells the 5 to stay the same or go down. Feeling good about that? Now, that is technically the end of the geometry section, which is like the perimeter area volume section. We now are going to talk about the measurement section, which is the last part of Module 3. The measurement section goes a whole lot faster. So, this one's the measurement. Now, a lot of us don't know what these words mean, and if you got to this problem, a lot of you stumbled through it because you don't know what the words mean. We need to talk about what weight, capacity, and measurement or length means. Weight. We talk about babies or food or drugs. An ounce of drugs or an ounce of food. An ounce is not that much. Pound, we're getting bigger. Babies weigh in pounds. Tons are like what cars weigh. So an ounce is really small. Like if you eat a couple of ounces of candy. Pounds are if you eat a couple, like a pound of steak. And then a ton is going to be like a car. Capacity. Now, there's a difference between, see how both of these are ounces? One is solid ounce and one is fluid ounce. So, if you are eating a 6-ounce steak, that's how much the steak weighs. That's 6 ounces of weight. But if you drink 6 ounces of water, that just means it's liquid ounces. So we have 6 liquid ounces versus 6 ounces of steak.
So the liquid is capacity,
That's capacity. So capacity, these are all liquids.
fluid ounce.
Fluid ounces, those are fluid ounces. Cups. Now, I have people say, well, a cup varies. If you go to Sonic and get a Route 44, a cup can be a big thing. A cup in real life is like an orange juice cup. It's like 8 ounces. It's a small little thing. So a cup is really only about that big. A pint is a little bit bigger. I'm trying to think of what. A pint would be like a regular sized drink. Like if you go out to eat, that would be about a pint. A quart, if you've ever seen a mason jar, a liquor jar, a moonshine jar, a jelly jar, those are quart jars. And then we all know about a gallon of milk. Okay? So those are all liquid. Length, we start out with an inch. You've probably heard of an inchworm. An inchworm is kind of like a caterpillar. An inchworm, okay? Then we have a foot. A foot is called a foot because it was measured by the king's foot. Now, all of our feet are different. Some people have big feet, some people have small feet. But I usually say a foot is about the size of your foot. It may be a little bit bigger, it may be a little bit smaller, but a foot is about the size of a foot. A yardstick and a meter stick are about the same thing. a yardstick and a meter stick. When your teacher walked around with that stick in class and used it like a cane, that was the yardstick or the meter stick. To me, I know that a yardstick and a meter stick comes to my waist. But a general rule of thumb, a yardstick or a meter stick is from the doorknob to the floor. So that is a yard or a meter. And a mile, we should know that a mile is about from here to McDonald's or wherever. A mile is a length down the road. So, if we say Donna ate an orange that weighed about 7, would that be ounces, pounds, or tons? 7 ounces, 7 pounds, or 7 tons? That one's going to be 7 ounces. 1 ounce, y'all, is the weight of a paper clip. So if somebody gets caught with 7 ounces of drugs, that is like 7 paper clips in your hand. That's what an ounce is. An ounce is the weight of a paper clip. That kind of gives you a visual of what it is. Keith drank about 3 ounces, cups, quarts, or gallons of juice with lunch. 3 ounces, 3 cups, 3 quarts, or 3 gallons.
Three cups.
I think it's
Now, ounces, like if you have a shot, like if you, when you take cough medicine, the little cup that comes on top of the cough medicine, and it says fill to this line, that is 1 ounce. So would he have 3 of those little teeny tiny cups with his breakfast? That's 3 ounces.
Oh, yeah.
3 cups is probably going to be my answer.
24 ounces.
Look at you.
That's a lot of juice.
Rhina's classroom is about 30 inches, 30 feet, 30 yards, or 30 miles wide. Now, 30 inches would be 30 of these little caterpillars. So if I take 30 caterpillars and put them back to back, is that how wide her classroom is? 30 miles would be from here to Hartsville. So we're between 30 feet and 30 yards, okay? Yards from here down is 1. So you would have to stack, so that would be 2. So 3 would probably be to the ceiling, and we would have to do 27 more. Now feet, remember I said is like my foot. So if I take my foot and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, about 3 more feet. 28, 29, 30. So which one is going to be more realistic? The feet. The foots. Knowing which one is more, knowing what the words mean is huge. Knowing what an inch is and what a foot is and what a yard is. And also knowing how many of them you have. Now, your formula sheet. Let me pull up your formula sheet for just a second. Class tools, resources. Let me find your formula sheet. All right, we're talking about measurement. You don't have to memorize this. You just have to know how to use it. Some people already know 12 inches make a foot, 3 feet make a yard. But if you don't know it, they're here. You just have to know how to use it. So, I'm going to take all these measurements and I'm going to copy them for our next problem. So right here it says that you can go to the Rent Instructor Resources formula sheet And it also gives you a couple of them right here, but it doesn't give you as many as I give you. So I always go to the formula sheet. So the problem says 2 yards is how many feet? So 2 yards equals how many feet? This is where we do, and some people just know it. And Alex tells you if you're going from large to small, you do this, and if you're going from small to large, you do that. I cannot remember that. So here is what I do. 2 yards times something, something. Whatever this is, girls, goes on the bottom. Whatever we're trying to find goes on the top. So we want the yards to go on the bottom and the feet to go on the top, girls. The yards to go on the bottom, the feet to go on the top. So this is the something something we're looking for. We're looking for yards and we're looking for feet that are written in the same sentence. We put the 1 beside the yard and we put the 3 beside the feet. We draw the line, and if you notice, both of my numbers are on the top, which means I'm going to multiply those numbers. So it's going to be 2 times 3 over 1, which is just 6. The yards in the bottom and the yards in the top cancel. So my answer is going to be 6 feet. Okay? Now, if I give you a similar problem, let's say that I am going to do 15 feet equals how many yards? 15 feet equals how many yards? I'm going to do 15 feet times. If this is feet, what do I put at the bottom? Feet. And what am I going to put in the top? Yards. I put feet in the bottom so they'll cancel. And I put yards at the top because that's what I'm trying to find. I use the same something something. But here I put the 1 beside the yard. I put the 3 beside the feet. I draw my line. Now, in the last problem, my numbers were both upstairs, so I multiplied. Here, my numbers are on top of each other, so what do you think I'm going to do?
Divide.
I'm going to divide. So this one is going to be 15 divided by 3, which is 5. My feet cancel with my feet, so my answer is going to be 5 yards. So you either multiply on these problems or you divide on these problems. Every single one of these has the number 1. We don't look at the 1, we look at the other number. So don't look at the 1. If both of the other numbers are upstairs, you multiply. If both of the other numbers are on top of each other, you divide. Let's look at another one. I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy it so that I will have it for my next problem.
That would be downstairs, right?
Do what?
That would be downstairs.
Yes. Let's do, let's look at this one. If I have 1 3/4 gallons of milk every day, how many quarts is this? So 1 3/4 gallons, I'm trying to turn into quarts. 1 3/4 gallons times something over something. What units go in the bottom? Gallons. What units go in the top? Quarts. And you've got to make sure that these match up with these, and this is what you're trying to find. So we are looking for gallons and quarts. So I come over here, I search, and I find it right here. I put the 1 beside the word gallon, and I put the 4 beside the word quart. I draw my line. Am I going to multiply or am I going to divide?
Multiply.
I'm going to multiply because both of my numbers are upstairs. So when I go to my calculator I'm gonna do 1 plus 3/4 wrapped up times 4. So 1 3/4 gallon is the same thing as 7 quarts because those cancel. There's your answer.